Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be making I would say an original meal. Now, whether or not this exists elsewhere, I don't know, but this was passed down from my father, and from him, he got it from his mother, and she got it from her father. As far as I know, this was an invention of our family line, and I've never seen anyone else make anything like it. It might be out there, I'm just not aware of it. In fact, I was the one who gave it a name. Okay, so what you'll need to make this is 4 cans of vegetarian vegetable, pound of ground beef, and a bag of cheddar cheese. Also, not on the screen because it's cooking right now, is 2 cups of rice. Doesn't matter what type of rice, whichever your preference is. You're just going to be simply putting this over the rice, so it is what it is. Alright, now the first thing we're going to do is fry up the ground beef. While we're cooking this up, I'll give you a little bit of history on how this worked out. Okay, so my great-grandfather, he being a working man of that age and time period, didn't cook. Yeah, the men back then didn't cook, they worked, and the women did all the cooking, blah, 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 blah. Alright, so on those few occasions when he was kind of stuck, she was either sick or whatever it might be, he would have to come up with something to feed the kids. And there were 13 of them. So he had to come up with something. So, being a good father that he was, he knew that he had to give them some type of a meat, which is what you had to do back then, and you had to have a vegetable. So he decided, we'll go with hamburger patty, because everyone loves hamburgers. And we will put some vegetables on it. What vegetables? And we don't have any hamburger buns, so what are we going to do? There's a can of vegetable soup in the cabinet, so let's use that. So, he created this. This is what my great-grandfather made. Simple, easy thing to do. And here's the deal. It tastes really good. All the kids loved it. Not a single one of them turned their nose up to it. Back then you didn't do that anyway. But they absolutely loved it. All the kids, they learned how to make it because it was so easy. Just dump some vegetable soup on top of a hamburger patty and away you go. And of course she made it for her kids. And my father learned how to make it too. And on several occasions when my mother was sick, or she was just out, doing business or work or whatever, he had to cook dinner. His staple was either homemade from scratch spaghetti sauce or this, hamburger patty with vegetable soup on it. Towards the end, as I was a teenager, he changed it up one day, although he swears he didn't do this and it was me that did it, but I'm telling you it was him. He decided to do what I'm doing now. He chopped up the entire pound of beef, cooked it like so, and then proceeded to take the vegetarian vegetable and just pour it right in. And turn the heat down on that big time. That way, he didn't have to worry about making hamburger patties for everybody and flipping them and sitting there doing all that. He just simply chopped up the beef and dumped the sauce in, and then we ate it like that. It was just a bowl full of hamburger with vegetarian vegetable. Not vegetable beef, vegetarian vegetable. And I have tried vegetable soup, and I have tried vegetable beef. It just does not taste the same. It has to be vegetarian vegetable. And that is exactly how I came up with the title for what I called this recipe. I called it Foo Veg. As in F-U, vegetarians. Now, before you start commenting and throwing heat my direction, it was a joke. I was not meaning, I hate vegetarians or anything like that. I just thought it ironic that I was taking vegetarian vegetable soup and adding meat to it. And that was like, what better way to thumb your nose at a vegetarian than by doing that? So it just seemed natural that you'd have to name something like that. F you, vegetarians. So that's what I call it. And now we just call it Foo Veg. Because, you can't tell that to the kids. At least, not at first. Eventually they'll figure it out. And I'm going to add this in here. Since since we don't need this. And chop it up. Alright. And then we mix it all together. And so this is what my dad would make us. Spoon it into a bowl and away we'd go. And it's really good. It is awesome. I've had it both hamburger patty and this version, and this is far scarier. Now, at the start of all this, I started my rice. I have a rice cooker. I use white long grain rice, and it takes 30 to 35 minutes for the rice to cook. While it's cooking, I start the rice before I start any of this. While I'm making this, and in the time that this simmers, by the time that rice is done and ready to go, this will be ready. So it's perfect timing. When your rice go, if you start your rice first and then immediately go to making this, by the time your rice beeper goes off, food's ready. Let this simmer for a little bit. Now there's two different ways of doing this. You can put a lid on it. It's more soupy, and it might last a little bit longer, and it mixes with the rice a little better. But if you like it a bit more hearty than that, you can thicken it up by leaving the lid off, because it's not going to cook that long. Just set it on simmer and let it do its thing. It really doesn't need any more than just to be heated up to the point of being cooked, the soup part of it. You know, the meat's already cooked, and the soup comes cooked in the can already. So all you gotta do is really just heat it up. I like to let it simmer a little bit because it just kind of infuses the flavor a little better. Now there's no salt added. There's plenty of salt in the vegetable soup. Vegetarian vegetable. Let's see, where's the salt on that? Sodium. 650 milligrams in 4 cans of this. You don't need to add salt. You really don't. Alright, so we'll let this simmer. Check on the rice. The rice is cooking. It's getting close. And we just wait for that to finish. Now, here's the reason why we add the rice. After my dad had invented this variation of it, I was like, you know, I can make this, and I can make this whole thing. I mean, it'll last for a week in the fridge. I can make this last longer and not be quite so heavy, because it is really heavy, because that soup is just condensed. There's no water added to it. Plus, on top of that, the meat. So what I would do is I decided, hey, I got some leftover rice in the fridge at that time I had. Why don't I just pour this over the rice, and that way I can use that rice up that's in there before it goes bad and make this last a little longer. So I put the rice on it. Did not take away from the flavor. Didn't really add to it because it's rice. But it made it last 2 times, 3 times as long, depending on how much rice you put in it. And you mix it all together, and that rice just kind of spreads out and allows you to make more from it. And it's really good. With the rice, it's not quite so heavy, so you're not just hammered every time you get done eating, and you gotta go like take a turkey nap from Thanksgiving. The rice really worked well with it. So from then on, I always made rice, and I always added this over top of the rice and mixed it all together. Then one day, I said, hey, what can I do to make this different? Because I'd been eating it, the whole week, and I was kind of getting tired of it. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's nice that it lasts this long, but eventually you just kind of get, ready to eat something different. So what I did was I said, okay, what can I add to this to make things a little different? Cheese. What goes better with anything than cheese? You can put cheese on cake and it's still probably good. Probably not, but you know what I mean. Cheese goes good with everything. So sprinkle a little cheese on top of it, and you can use any cheese. I prefer sharp cheddar because it's got that little bite to it, and it mixes really well with this, and adds. You can definitely bring out, with little cheese, you can bring out a lot of flavor of the cheese mixed in with it. Otherwise, this kind of overpowers. Like, I've tried Monterey Jack, I've tried mozzarella. Mozzarella just becomes too gooey, but it is tasty. Monterey Jack just didn't have enough flavor. It didn't impact it anyway. Cheddar seems to do the best. And the sharp cheddar, I just love the taste of sharp cheddar. So it's up to you on what cheese you want to use. They've got so many different blends out now. You can do whatever you want. But personally, I like the sharp cheddar. Oh, I don't know if you heard that, but that would be the rice finishing. There's the rice. It's about 2.5 spoonfuls. You just take your foo veg, put it on top. That's about all you need. You can actually probably do less than that. That might be even a little thick. Mix it all together. Mix it quite well. Shook the camera, sorry about that. Take a little cheese. So it doesn't take much. But that's all personal preference, of course. Mix that in, and this is hot enough, fresh off the stove, that it melts the cheese perfectly. And there you have it. That is foo veg. So F you vegetarians, I just added meat to your specialty dish. I'm kidding. But it is a wonderful dish if you're not a vegetarian. Feel free to make it. Feel free to make it your own. Add to it. I have yet to figure. Actually, I did try one other variation about a month ago. I took a flour tortilla and made a burrito out of it. Made it just like this, and then spooned it into a flour tortilla and made a burrito. Kids loved it. I think I like it better this way, but it certainly wasn't bad. It was definitely something different for just switch things up. But the great thing about this, like I said, kids love it. I have yet to meet a single person, period, other than a couple of vegetarian friends of mine, of course. But I've yet to meet a single person that didn't try it and absolutely love it and go back for seconds. This stuff is amazing. As simple as it is, my 3-year-old was gobbling it up and wanting more. And my 3-year-old does not eat anything. Hates everything except chicken nuggets. And every time I tell the kids, okay, what do you think about food veg tonight? They go insane. They absolutely love it. The leftovers taste just as good as when you fresh make it. That's just, you can't go wrong with it. Enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I will try and come up with more things like this. Have a good one.